Ok, bueno, pues bienvenidos. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos hoy en nuestra primer clase muestra, en nuestro evento de tour de programas de verano, clases muestra. El día de hoy nos acompaña la Universidad de Nuevo México y pues bueno, mi nombre es Yandy Reynoso y soy una de las asesoras de Education USA en la Ciudad de México. Y bueno, conmigo también nos acompañan las asesoras de Education USA en Guadalajara, UDG y del centro en San Luis Potosí. Entonces, bueno, antes de empezar con nuestra clase muestra por la Universidad de Nuevo México, vamos a dar una pequeña descripción de lo que es Education USA. A lo mejor muchos de ustedes ya no es la primera vez que participen en alguno de nuestros eventos, o a lo mejor sí, alguno de ustedes es el primer alcance que tienen con nosotros. Entonces, brevemente les vamos a explicar lo que es Education USA. También, antes de comenzar con esto, les recomiendo que puedan tener sus micrófonos apagados. Si tienen alguna pregunta o algún comentario, lo pueden hacer directamente en el chat, mandar sus preguntas al usuario que dice Q&A, Mabel Martínez. Y bueno, al final vamos a estar contestando sus preguntas y leyendo todos sus comentarios. Entonces, bueno, para empezar vamos a hablar de Education USA. Somos una red global de centros de asesoría del Departamento de Estado de Estados Unidos en conjunto con la Embajada de Estados Unidos en México. Lo que nosotros hacemos, bueno, nos dedicamos a asesorarles para que ustedes vayan a estudiar a Estados Unidos, ya sea un curso de inglés, un programa de licenciatura o algún programa de posgrado. Nosotros podemos asesorarles desde cómo encontrar un programa y una institución que pueda ser el mejor fit para ustedes y cómo solicitar admisión a todos estos programas. No somos un programa de becas, pero bueno, parte de nuestra asesoría es ayudarles a explorar a ustedes las opciones que hay de apoyo financiero disponibles para que puedan ir a estudiar a Estados Unidos. Tenemos alrededor de 26 centros en todo México. El enlace que ven en rojo en medio en pantalla, si ustedes lo visitan pueden encontrar una lista completa de todos los centros de asesoría en México, ya que bueno, tenemos diferentes asesores que se encargan de cubrir los diferentes estados. Y bueno, como se imaginan, a partir de la pandemia de marzo del año pasado, bueno, todos nuestros eventos, la mayoría, todos han sido de manera virtual. La mayoría de nuestros centros de asesoría permanecen cerrados y bueno, por eso es que estamos haciendo este tipo de eventos por medio de Zoom o Facebook, etcétera. Entonces, estos son algunos de nuestros servicios que ofrecemos. Ya les expliqué que podemos darles asesoría, pero bueno, también tenemos sesiones informativas como estas con diferentes instituciones de Estados Unidos, en donde todos pues promueven la educación en Estados Unidos y también pues diferentes talleres y diferentes actividades que les pueden a ustedes ayudar para que puedan familiarizarse un poco más con todas las oportunidades que Estados Unidos tiene para nosotros. Entonces, si les interesa saber más sobre nuestras actividades y todos los eventos que tenemos en línea, nos pueden visitar, nos pueden seguir en redes sociales o nos pueden escribir un mensaje al enlace, a la dirección, perdón, que ven en pantalla. Ahorita les vamos a compartir también estos correos en el chat. Antes de empezar, voy a hacer una encuesta rápidamente y ya la acabo de mandar. Solamente queremos saber en qué región de México te encuentras, de dónde nos estás viendo. Puede haber que a lo mejor algunos de ustedes estén fuera de México, está bien, pueden escoger la opción de otro o simplemente nos pueden escribir en el chat de qué país nos están viendo, de dónde están participando. Entonces, si pueden votar, si nos ayudan en qué región de México se encuentran. Tenemos noroeste, noreste, en el occidente, oriente, centro norte, centro sur, suroeste, sureste y la opción de otro también. Ok, les voy a dar unos segundos más para que puedan votar. Ok, pues bueno, tenemos representación de muchos estados, la mayoría, bueno, en Guadalajara, la Ciudad de México, y también tenemos algunos por ahí de San Luis, de Tlaxcala, y bueno, pues bueno, bienvenidos todos. Y ahora le voy a ceder el tiempo a Natalie de la Universidad de Nuevo México. Ella va a estar impartiendo esta clase muestra y como saben, bueno, esta clase va a ser en inglés, entonces ahora vamos a cambiarnos de idioma a inglés. Gracias.
My apologies, I was muted. I'm going to share my screen. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Natalie Kubasik. I'm the Education Specialist for the Center for English Language and American Culture at the University of New Mexico. Today, we are going to have a lesson on the thesis statement. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify a main topic and subtopics in a thesis statement, and you will be able to add subtopics to a thesis statement. This lesson is part of a larger unit on the essay, the academic essay, which is one of the most important types of writing that you will do at an American university. So an American university academic essay has a very common structure. It has an introduction, it has a body, and a conclusion. And the very last sentence of the introduction is the thesis statement. So this is what we're going to focus on today and understand the parts of this thesis statement. So before we begin, or in order to begin, what I'd like you to do is to reflect on this question and share your answer in the group chat. Why do you want to learn English? I'm going to give everybody a minute to write down your answer and share it in the chat. All right, I see some great answers here in the chat. I'm going to use a few of these answers to illustrate what a thesis statement is. So I'm going to copy and paste from the chat. So keep writing your answers if you haven't already, while I add a few here to the PowerPoint. All right. So we have a lot of great reasons for learning English. We have to publish results of research in English. In order to succeed academically in the US, to migrate to New Zealand, to have more opportunities. So obviously we all have different reasons why we want to learn English. And I'm going to use these examples to explain the parts of a thesis, because all of these sentences, and even the ones that are not listed here, but are in the chat, can be the basis of a thesis statement. So I'm going to turn to the textbook now, and we're going to read a description of a thesis statement. Then we'll come back to these ideas on the PowerPoint and look at how they are similar to the thesis statements that we read in the textbook. So would anybody like to volunteer to read? Is anybody a good public speaker? And doesn't mind reading in front of people? If not, I'll just choose somebody.
You can raise your hand so we can unmute you. Okay, I see Avesilla Torres. Yeah, you are unmuted.
All right.
Okay.
So can you read for us this sentence here that defines the thesis statement for us? This first sentence.
Sure. The thesis statement is the most important sentence in the introduction. It states the specific topic of the essay and often gives the writer's point of view.
Excellent, thank you. And what was your name? I'm gonna guess that it's Jonathan because I see that on your screen. So I just wanted to thank you, Jonathan. All right, so if we notice here, it says that the thesis statement has a few parts. It has the topic of the essay and it gives the writer's point of view. So going back to the sentences that we wrote, we can see that the topic of this particular, let's say we were writing an essay, the topic would be learning English. Whereas the point of view would be the reasons that you all gave for learning English. So the topic, learning English, or why we want to learn English, and the main point or point of view would be to publish results in order to be able to succeed academically, to migrate to New Zealand or have more opportunities. I'm trying to look to see if I can annotate the screen here, but I'm not seeing it on my options. So let me see if I can annotate using my PowerPoint tools. Okay, so again, this is our topic, and these are our points of view, right? So a lot of people tend to think that a thesis statement has to be some kind of statement of fact, but that is not the purpose of a thesis statement. The purpose of the thesis statement is to express the writer's unique point of view. So just as you all have unique reasons for learning English, you are expressing a unique point of view. You're expressing a main point. So those are two parts of the thesis. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. You can just raise your hand and we can unmute you if you have a question at any time during the presentation. So another part, let's read about the other part of the thesis statement. I'm going to go back here. Actually, before we do that, let's read these samples and see if we can identify the topics and the points of view. So would another volunteer be willing to read these thesis statements for us? And again, you can raise your hand and we can unmute you.
Okay, Luis Mario, you can unmute yourself. If you would like to read.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Luis.
sure.
Thank you, Luis. Can you please read this first thesis statement here that starts with although?
Yes. Although some parents and educators oppose same-sex classes, there is some evidence that separating boys and girls in middle school yields positive results.
Very good. So what do we think the point of, or I'm sorry, what do we think the topic is? Let's start with the topic because that's easier to identify. What would be the topic of this thesis statement? Or the general idea that the writer, the general thing the writer is going to write about? And again, if you know the answer for this one, you can just type it in the chat. Take a look. Same-sex classes. Yep. Very good. That's what I'm seeing. Excellent. So yeah, same-sex classes are the topic, is the topic. And how about the point of view or the thing that the writer wants to say about the topic? What is that part of the thesis? And again, you can type this in the chat. Good. So I see from Elizabeth Torres that it is positive to have mixed classes. And yes, that's correct. That would be our point of view, right? So here where it says there are some evidence, I'll make it red, I guess. That would be our point of view. Excellent. Let's look at this second one, and then I think we'll move on and talk about another part of the thesis statement. So would a third person like to volunteer? Okay, Juan Carlos.
Okay, young people in my culture have less freedom than young people in the United States.
Very good. All right. So what do we think? Let's write in the chat. What do we think the topic is? And what do we think the point of view is? So you can label in your answer, topic is X, point of view is Y. Any ideas? What do we think the overall topic is here?
I have a question here from Juan Carlos.
Oh, yes.
That says, freedom is the topic.
Very good. Yeah, I don't see that in my chat. Thank you. Yes, so freedom, or we could even say cultural freedom, if we want to get more specific. But yeah, freedom would be the topic, right? And what would be the specific point of view that the writer wants to express? And we can think about where or what is the writer trying to do here in this sentence? Compare and contrast, express cause and effect. Sometimes that can help us figure out the main point. We can ask ourselves, what is the writer doing in this sentence? If you have an idea, yep, making a comparison, very good. Yes, and then I see also we're comparing cultures, the writer's culture to the United States. So basically the rest of this sentence is the main point. So those are the two most important parts of the sentence, but sometimes we have another part of the sentence here. So would somebody like to volunteer to read this first sentence this next sentence for us where it says sometimes? And you can just raise your hand if you'd like to read aloud. Okay, Diana.
Hi, nice to meet you, all of you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for volunteering.
You're welcome. Capital punishment should be abolished.
I'm so sorry. We're moved on to where it says sometimes a thesis statement. I should have made that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Sometimes a thesis statement lists the subjects that will be discussed in the body.
Very good. So subtopics. This is another element of the thesis statement. Sometimes you might have a professor who wants you to provide subtopics in the thesis statement. The purpose of the subtopic is actually to help your reader understand the organization of your body. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint for a second and show you kind of the relationship that we have that is between topics and subtopics. And I think I have to get rid of my highlighter here for a second. I'll move to laser pointer. So on my next slide, come on, PowerPoint. Uh-oh, my PowerPoint seems to be stuck. Give me 1 second. Next, I'll just go like that. So here we see if we have a topic, reasons for learning English, the subtopic would be very, very specific topics that we would give. Usually we write a thesis with a subtopic if our professor has instructions that say something like, provide 3 reasons why you are learning English, or explain your reasoning, something like that. So then in our thesis statement, we would actually list 3 reasons, for example, for why someone would want to learn English. So let's take a look at a thesis statement here. This is one of the thesis statements that we read earlier, but the writer has added subtopics. So we'll identify the subtopics. I saw someone else's hand up earlier. If you would like to volunteer to read this next thesis statement, go ahead.
The one that says also?
Yes, although, thank you.
Although some parents and educators oppose same-sex classes, there is some evidence that separating boys and girls in middle school yields positive results, particularly in improved learner self-confidence and decreased classroom discrimination.
Excellent, thank you very much. So we had already identified our topic earlier, which was same-sex classes. We also identified our point of view, which is positive results. Then notice at the end of this thesis statement, the writer actually names a few of these results, right? We have improved learner self-confidence, and we have decreased classroom discrimination. That would be another one, if my tool would work. All right, so improved learner self-confidence, decreased classroom discrimination. Those are 2 subtopics. And those subtopics give the reader an idea of how the rest of the essay is going to be organized. The first body paragraph will most likely be about improved learner self-confidence. The second body paragraph will most likely be about decreased classroom discrimination. So this is one benefit of adding subtopics to your thesis, is that it can actually make your ideas much clearer to your reader, and it can help you as a writer organize the rest of your essay. It can help you decide what do you want to explain first and second and possibly third. So let's do some practice here. We're going to do just a few of the practices from practice 5 together as a class, and then we will review these concepts. So we'll use, since there's a lot of us here today, we'll use the chat for this. Our first thesis says a computer is necessary for college students for 3 reasons. So in the chat, go ahead and add subtopics for this thesis statement. In other words, what are 3 reasons a computer is necessary for college students? And you can add your answers to the chat. Very good. I'm seeing some great reasons here. We have for looking up material, for doing homework, and for getting in touch with others. I'm also seeing communication, research, and organization of files. Excellent. So if this was our thesis statement for an essay, we could add these ideas here to the end of the thesis statement. Let's do one more. So our second thesis statement here says, students have a difficult time taking notes in class due to. So what are maybe 2 reasons that students have difficulty taking notes in class? And if you're unfamiliar with the phrase taking notes, it means writing down things as your professor is saying them in class. So 2 reasons why students may have difficulty taking notes in class, and you can write your answers in the text. Oh yeah, got some good ones. Teacher speaking really fast. Students being unable to identify main points. That's also a good one. They get distracted. The classroom is noisy. Oh, this is an interesting point. Much of them don't have a methodology for taking notes. Yeah. Very good. All right, excellent work. So to review, let's identify the answers to these questions here. So we'll fill in the blanks of these sentences here. We have the thesis statement states the blank and often gives the writers blank. So would somebody like to volunteer to fill in the blank of this first one here? And you can raise your hand and we can unmute you. All right, Mariana.
The thesis statement states the topic and often gives the writer's point of view.
Very good. Excellent. Very nice. All right. Next one here, we have sometimes a thesis statement lists blank that will be discussed in the body. So if anyone would like to unmute themselves and fill in the blank for this one, go ahead. I see Fernanda Salazar.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Sometimes a thesis statement lists subtopics that will be discussed in the body.
Perfect. Excellent work. All right, so that is a very, very short lesson on our thesis statement. So the next time we would meet, if we were all taking a real class together, we would discuss the body and the relationship between the subtopics and the body and how we can use our thesis statement to organize and develop the body of our essay. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Does anybody have any questions before I stop sharing? No? Okay. Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you, Natalie. Book class. Thank you. Ahora le voy a dar el tiempo a, me parece que es Dr. Paul. Él nos va a estar hablando un poquito más acerca de este programa virtual en la Universidad de Nuevo México.
Muchas gracias, Yandy. Perdón.
Es que hay una pregunta en el chat, en caso de que no la hayan visto, para Natalie, antes de que Dr. Paul empiece. Vianney is asking if you can recommend her some books to practice.
Yeah. I would say, let's see, for college writing, a good textbook to use is one that we actually use at CELAC, and it's called Patterns for College Writing. This is a really, it's kind of a big textbook, but it's very comprehensive because it introduces you to all the different types of essay writing you may encounter in college, like compare and contrast, cause effect, the research paper. It has an excellent section about research and documentation. For instance, if you have to incorporate quotations. And it also has articles that are, rather than articles that are written specifically for ESL languages, they're articles that students actually read in college classes. So I think that's a great one. I'm going to share the name of that in the chat here, Patterns for College Writing. And I've seen, this is pretty accessible. You can purchase this online. I've definitely seen it, for instance, on Amazon. So that is a book that I would recommend. And then I did see another question here in the chat about how many subtopics are usually listed in a thesis statement. And it really depends on the expectations of your instructor, the instructions that are given, as well as how long your essay is going to be. I would say, though, that generally 2 to 3 subtopics, maybe 4 if you're writing a longer paper that's maybe 4 to 5 pages long. But typically there are about 2 to 3 subtopics in a thesis statement. Thanks for these great questions. Also, Vanessa has put in another textbook that we use in CELAC called Ticket to Write, Writing College Essays. This is another great textbook if you're interested. Both of these books are available as ebooks as well.
Gracias, Natalie. Entonces, Dr. Paul.
Okay, thank you, Gandhi. So do you prefer in English or Spanish? I guess English is okay.
Yeah.
Everyone is doing great. Okay, but later if there's a question in Spanish, Dr. Kubasek, Maestra Vanessa, or myself, we can also answer for you in Spanish. So thank you so much, Dr. Kubasek, for the great lecture. Actually, I enjoyed that very much, and I like the interactive nature of that. Thank you so much to our colleagues, John B., Mabel, and colleagues at Education USA. You know, I have visited your offices in City of Mexico, in Guadalajara, some of these places that you mentioned around your beautiful country. And really, we are neighbors, and we are very, very happy to welcome our friends from Mexico to study with us at the University of New Mexico. We have an office in Mexico, and I'm going to go ahead and put the office contact here in the chat. And at the Mexico office, I'm putting here, we have Valerie Cardenas. She's the director of the office in Mexico City for the University of New Mexico. So you can always contact her as well. I'm here to welcome you to study with us at the University of New Mexico. I am the director of the Intensive English program, where Dr. Kulasek and Maestra Van der Galian work. We work together. You know, Albuquerque is a multicultural city. It's very open, it's very welcoming to international students and international people. We have people from many parts of the world in our city and around our state. And at the University of New Mexico, we have some top-rated programs. We are classified as a very high research university. And we have top programs in the School of Business, in the School of Engineering, Management, Architecture. I noticed in the chat, somebody's interested in studying linguistics and they want to learn English to study linguistics. That's my major. I also studied linguistics at the University of New Mexico. It's a very, very good program. So really, you have many options. Environmental studies was another comment in the chat. You have many options to study with us. And certainly, either to study at the University of New Mexico or another university where English is spoken predominantly, of course, you would like to have strong English skills. And that's why you are here. And that's why we're thankful to Education USA for inviting us to share with you about our English Center. Our program is an intensive English program, meaning that students who study with us full-time are in class for approximately 20 hours each week, and they're doing homework. So if you come here physically to New Mexico, probably you will be a full-time student. You will be doing about 20 hours per week. But it's also possible for you to study with us online. And in that case, you can study less. You can take 1 or 2 classes instead of all 4 classes. And our classes are centered on academic reading, academic writing, conversation, and grammar. The idea is to prepare you to be successful in your university studies, and also later to be successful in your jobs, in your professions, to have a better chance to get jobs. And I noticed several of you mentioned this in the chat. You would like to learn English to work better in your job, to have more job opportunities, to speak with foreign people, to be able to travel. So really, by studying English with us, you get access to those possibilities. In addition to our regular classes, we also offer clubs. We have a conversation group. We help arrange conversation partners. We have a book club. We have an English newsletter that Dr. Kubasik leads the students for writing essentially an English newspaper, the CELAC Student Voice. This is really cool. And now we have a digital publication you can see on our website. And you're also welcome to join the professors for tutoring in office hours. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to maximize your exposure to English, even outside of the class. And of course, if you come here in person, and we really invite you, you will be living life in English every day. In New Mexico, many people do speak Spanish, but the first language they will use to speak with you is English. We go to that language always first. And so that will be great. I just want to finish by saying that there are scholarship opportunities for students who finish our CELAC English program. So there is an International Amigo Scholarship, which allows international students to pay resident tuition. That's about 1/3 of the price. It's a great discount, a very big discount. And students from our English program have special kind of a reservation, right, to get that. We have a certain number of scholarships that we can offer to our students. Over the summer, we have English summer camps. We have an online TOEFL test preparation course designed by Maestra van der Galian and Dr. Kubasik. This is very cool, and the students are able to do this completely asynchronically on your own time. And again, students who finish our program do not need to present a TOEFL test to enter into studies at the University of New Mexico. So essentially, your English proficiency is verified by our program. So that really can help you relax and enjoy the program more without worrying so much about such an English proficiency exam like the TOEFL or the IELTS or Duolingo. So again, please take a look at our website that we put here in the chat. And we are available to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Muchas gracias a la Universidad de Nuevo México por su participación. En el chat justo vamos a compartir un enlace para que puedan visitarlo y puedan conocer un poco más sobre el programa en la Universidad de Nuevo México. Pueden descargar algunos materiales promocionales y pueden también visitar el website, que también lo estamos poniendo en el chat, para que puedan enterarse más sobre los diferentes programas que ellos tienen, más información sobre las becas que acaban de mencionar. Pueden ver sobre las diferentes actividades que se tienen en la universidad. Y bueno, si les interesa, también puedan ponerse en contacto con ellos directamente. Entonces, si tienen alguna otra pregunta, ahora es tiempo. Pueden a lo mejor abrir sus micrófonos para hacer la pregunta directamente a la Universidad de Nuevo México, o bien la pueden escribir en el chat. Y vamos a esperar tal vez unos segundos a ver si llegan algunas preguntas.
Hola a todos. Yo soy Mabel Martínez, soy la asesora de Guadalajara y ya tengo algunas preguntas. Alguien me está preguntando de quién es la encargada de San Luis Potosí. Es una de las organizadoras de este evento, se llama Edith Meléndez, entonces igual si ella también se puede presentar, creo que podría ser una buena idea para que la identifiquen.
Hola a todos, yo soy Edith Meléndez, asesora de Education USA en San Luis Potosí. Cualquier cuestión, cualquier duda en la que les pueda ayudar, con mucho gusto nada más mándenme un mensajito.
También nos están preguntando, bueno, Valerie ya se presentó, vi en el chat que andaba por aquí. Valerie es la encargada, la Universidad de Nuevo México tiene una oficina aquí en México, en el país, y nos están preguntando sobre los datos. No sé si Valerie pueda poner ahí sus datos, es una persona que utiliza mucho el celular, entonces también si quieren contactarla a ella primero. No sé si Valerie nos puedes ayudar a poner tus datos de contacto ahí para este tema de becas que comentó Dr. Paul acerca de las becas y los programas en generales. Y también creo que esa pregunta la pueden ver todos. Pero hay otra beca de un estudiante que se apellida Chávez, que está interesado en saber exactamente qué cubren las becas que mencionó Dr. Paul. No sé si Valerie o Dr. Paul nos puedan ayudar con esas respuestas.
¿Cuál es la pregunta, Mabel? Perdón.
¿Qué becas, qué cubren la beca que mencionó?
Ok. Sí, la beca, la que se llama, la mejor beca que tenemos en la universidad se llama International Amigo Scholarship. Lo que eso ayuda con la matrícula. Entonces, es solamente hacia la matrícula. Quiere decir que para un año, un residente paga en la universidad tiempo, o sea, un estudiante de tiempo completo, paga alrededor de $8,000 por año. El estudiante internacional sin beca paga más o menos $24,000 por año. Son 2 semestres. Entonces, con la beca International Amigo, un estudiante extranjero paga como si fuera residente. Entonces, ayuda con, básicamente son $16,000 que uno no paga, ¿verdad? Pero todavía, si está acá en persona, obviamente, tiene que tener para pagar los gastos del apartamento, de las comidas, etc. Entonces, esa beca ayuda con la matrícula. No sé si hay otra pregunta.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Are there more like exchanges or other programs that we can go and participate with a scholarship apart from this one of the that is about learning English? Like other program?
So thank you, Diana. So there are exchange programs with the University of New Mexico. And I believe by exchange, you mean like a partner-to-partner institution. So that would be a question of your university. For example, is it Universidad de Guadalajara? Is it whichever, Tec Monterrey? To know if that exchange already exists. And in that case, then typically the University of New Mexico sends 1 or 2 students to your university, and your university sends students to our university. That's the international exchange program. But for that, if you're interested to know if your university is already a partner with the University of New Mexico, you could send me an email directly. I can check in about that for you. So that's what I can tell you. I will put my email address here in the chat, and
Okay.
anybody can contact me directly. Con mucho gusto.
Okay, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Gracias, Mabel. ¿Tenemos más preguntas o ya son todas?
Ya hay algunas que las podemos contestar nosotros de manera ya como personal. Hay alguien que está preguntando sobre cursos o clases en Guadalajara. Ahorita te contesto de nuevo, pero de ahí en fuera creo que ya no tenemos más clases, más preguntas para la Universidad de Nuevo México. De todos modos, ya no sé si ya se perdió, pero voy a volver a compartir el link donde pueden acceder a los recursos y materiales que les comentamos hace un rato.
Perfecto, muchas gracias, Mabel. En el chat también pusimos, bueno, los links, los emails para nuestros centros. Si tienen alguna duda específica, los podemos atender por ahí. Y bueno, si están interesados en saber también sobre otros programas y los diferentes programas de estudio que tiene la Universidad de Nuevo México, los invitamos a que puedan visitar el website. Las personas que nos visitan ahorita de la Universidad de Nuevo México, bueno, ellos son específicamente del programa del que hicieron su clase de CLAC. Entonces, pues bueno, pueden ponerse en contacto visitando el website y si no directamente con Valerie. Valerie es la representante de la Universidad de Nuevo México en México. Entonces ahí también en el chat está su contacto. Y bueno, entonces si ya no tenemos más preguntas, pues bueno, muchísimas gracias a todos por su participación hoy. Recuerden que tenemos otra clase el próximo miércoles a las 6 con diferentes universidades. Pueden hacer su registro en el enlace que vamos a poner en el chat. Y pues bueno, muchísimas gracias a todos por participar.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Un placer.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon. Please be in touch. Thank you so much,
yes.
Education USA.
Gracias.
Bye bye.
Bye. ¿Te contestó?